What's going on, everybody? Frank from 5AM Ramen here, and I'm back in Manila, and I'm going to a ramen restaurant called Ramen Ron. They have 2 branches in Manila. I've visited before their Rockwell, Makati restaurant. Now going to the one in BGC, as per the background here that you see. And what I'm trying today are actually going to be unique ramen that have more recently been added to the menu. We've got 2 very Filipino ramen. We'll get to that in a little bit. But given that they're Filipino ramen, and of course we're in the Philippines, I am joined by a very special guest, Bunga.
Yo, I'm here and I came hungry.
Good, you came prepared, hungry,
Yes.
and I imagine very excited for Ramen Ron. This is your first ramen restaurant visit in the Philippines, right?
Yes, first ramen visit in the Philippines. Yes, outside of Japan.
I'm glad to share these bowls with you. And Bunga, like myself, is half Filipino. I think this is gonna be a nice revisiting of the roots. I'm very curious to find out what Filipino ramen might look like, and we're gonna get a chance to do that today.
Digging into our roots.
Absolutely,
Our
absolutely.
Filipino roots.
Indeed.
Yes.
Mabuhay, let's go do it.
Mabuhay.
Let's do it.
Boy, I have an accent.
Well, I think my accent was probably not much better. All right, we're grabbing first their Shiomansi Ramen, which is basically salt seasoned shio ramen with calamansi added in a form of jelly and also calamansi-like juice. I know you haven't had calamansi before.
No, I haven't.
But you've had a little bit on this trip, right? Where...
I've had just a tiny bit.
For me, calamansi is something I grew up with. I am very fond of it. I have great nostalgic memories of it, but this is as Filipino, I think, as it gets in terms of a Japanese Filipino ramen, very much leaning towards let's make a Filipino ramen. This I'm super excited about. Why don't we get a bit of that soup and see what this Shiomansi Ramen is all about. Oh yeah. That's good. That's good.
There's a lightness
Really
to the soup.
flavor,
Yeah, it's nice soup. But there's a hint of it. It's like accentuating the soup flavor.
The calamansi, right?
Yeah, the calamansi. But you said it's like it's a little bit citrusy, sweet, but more on the sour side. But within the soup, I think it's a little bit more subdued. But there is a savoriness to it that I think is quite tasty.
Absolutely. I think the soup itself is pork and chicken, right? So those warm pork and chicken flavors are there. Basically, I think what the shio does is it basically lays the stage for the calamansi to be second in line. You get the calamansi flavors immediately after that, and then the richness from the pork and chicken comes after that. Yeah. So the shio hits you first, followed by the calamansi. It's subdued, as you mentioned. Like there's some of that sourness and sweetness, and then last but not least, the pork and chicken flavors. Like, oh, here we are. If I understand it correctly, I think they were actually inspired by Afuri's yuzu ramen. So basically what they're doing is they're replacing the calamansi with yuzu, and the similarities are there, but to your point, like I think they're also very different because calamansi is a very different fruit from yuzu.
I've had the yuzu ramen before, and the yuzu you can taste it's a lot more strong.
Yeah.
The way that is in that particular bowl. In this particular bowl, it's a little bit more light, and that accentuates the salt flavor.
Yes. These are thin noodles. I think appropriate for this more delicate Shiomansi ramen. Okay, here we are, bowl number 2.
Bowl number
Round
2.
2.
All right.
A just as Filipino bowl, if not arguably maybe even a more Filipino bowl. I'm curious, how this is gonna taste. That said, why don't we have a sip of the soup?
All right, soup first.
Ooh, that is good.
There's like a meaty sweetness to it.
Yes. No, you're definitely getting that sweetness. Oh, and that reminds me, good point, because there is actually, instead of the Shiomansi Ramen, which is pork and chicken, they're also adding beef bones to this. That's probably the source of that sweetness. So beef bones are added on top, yeah. This jumps out, and I think, at least for me, a lot of that dried garlic, or fried garlic rather, is really seeped in the bowl. So there's a strong garlicky aftertaste, which we didn't get with the Shiomansi. I keep messing up the name. This is really good. Why don't we try some of those noodles?
All right.
Oh, we got the same thin, delicious noodles. What else to say? They're fantastic. As you highlighted before, they've got a nice eggy flavor because they do use eggs in these noodles.
They have an eggy flavor, but the chewiness is slightly different from a ramen noodle that has alkaline mineral water in it. But it's still very, very good.
This screams Filipino. And speaking of which, while we're eating the noodles, the toppings here are very much about batchoy. Batchoy is like a traditional Philippine soup, right? From Iloilo. And essentially it'll have things like pork rinds. You know, we've got that here, chicharron. We've also got liver, regular pork chashu, which normally comes with ramen. But on top of that, we also have huge slab of beef bone. Look at this thing. I don't even know if I can pick it up with my chopsticks. Like this is like a massive, yeah, look at this. It's like a dinosaur bone. What we're meant to do is put some of that beef bone marrow into the soup, kind of like putting it in.
Go.
Oh yeah.
The marrow gives it an extra accentuation of that meatiness.
Yes.
And I think it really enhances the flavor even further, which really is what helps to define the bowl, which makes it very, very different from the first bowl that we had.
Yeah. Calamansi was the star of the show, but there's a lot going on in this bowl, and depending on where you bite or when you put in that marrow, right, the flavors change quite a bit.
I feel this one's a lot more meaty too.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I'm kind of torn between the two, but between the two, which are you preferring?
I'm leaning towards this one.
This guy. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm leaning towards the Batchoy.
Batchoy Ramen.
Yeah, the Batchoy Ramen is really good.
This is something I really like just because it's so Filipino with everything that's going on, like being a faithful recreation of Batchoy. It's something that I would order maybe when I'm hungover because it's so heavy, but I think something that I would regularly order would be the Shiomansi, just because I love a light shio. Don't get me wrong, I'm digging this meatiness, what you just described, but I think the Shiomansi would be the ramen I personally order more regularly.
Well, that one's lighter.
Yeah.
This one's more heavy.
This was more heavy, yeah. And to me, this I would say is magical in that like it's just such a great meeting of Japan and the Philippines. And of course, you can get great Japanese authentic ramen here, but the fact that they're doing Batchoy Ramen, like that's just something you don't normally get.
I say it's a good meeting of the two cultures. In the middle.
Exactly.
Yes,
Exactly.
and a great definition of what happens when you have a fusion like this. That makes
Yes.
it very, very,
Absolutely.
very, very good fusion.